Hello and welcome to the Let That Shift Go podcast. I'm Noel.
And I'm Lena.
And this is where we talk about the good, the bad, and all the shift in between.
We'll just talk mad shift.
Let's get into it. And on this week's episode, we thought about something, because it's also the holidays, about maybe a different way to exchange gifts and maybe a more unique way.
Yeah.
We're kind of talking, bouncing around ideas about white elephant and things like that. And we were thinking about a different exchange of gifts.
I'm super excited about this episode. Yeah. I feel really lit up about this. And it's like, ooh, I'm going to have to contain myself to be able to talk on, the points that are important, but also it's something that really excites me. So. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we do, let's get into these skin deep cards, see if we can open up some vulnerability. I'll go first today.
Okay.
When was our toughest moment together?
Toughest moment together. During an ayahuasca journey was our toughest moment together.
Well, I guess, that could be a thing.
We went into ceremony together side by side, and I realized I have a lot of fear, moving into those states of consciousness, and I knew I cannot ask for my brother. And it was the one thing that I knew I'd want to do is my safety. And so, I don't know, for me, that was a tough moment of no, I have to
disengage.
I have to disengage. This is a personal discovery, an inward journey.
I could see that.
Not about you having to ask your brother to pull him out of his experience to help you.
Yeah.
So that was tough.
Yeah, because I felt that in that moment too. Yeah, it was oh my God, she's going through something, but I'm deep in my own stuff. So and just trusting that the process was going to be its deal.
Oh, and it was one of the most incredible.
Amazing.
Most incredibly beautiful, but also one of the toughest, all in one shot. So
yeah. Well, hello. Yeah, that was a tough moment. Yeah. Okay, what's your question?
My question is, if I were to die tomorrow, what would you do to remember me by?
Oh, shit. Oh, what a shit question.
What would you do to remember me by?
Gosh, if you were to die tomorrow, what would I do to remember you by?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, that is a terrible question. But let me see. What do I got for that? Gosh, I don't know. What would I do to remember you? Okay. So my thing is with this, and I've had a conversation with friends, is I really don't, I don't enjoy funerals, but I have enjoyed one funeral that was a friend of mine that passed away from cancer, and it was a celebration of life, and it wasn't a funeral. We all got together, it was a taco truck kind of thing. It was like a party, and so I always kind of envision that being a thing of a celebration of life. So in that same thing, I would probably try to do something more positive. And what would that be? I would probably
do a breathwork journey.
Actually, I probably would rent a moped and ride it with one of my kids, because me and you rode this crazy Peugeot moped while you were driving, and I was sitting on the back holding, and we crashed. Oh my God, that was such a dangerous thing. But I think I would try to I remember that's probably one of my fondest moments, is going down the Greenbelt and Doria Way on this freaking moped.
This Peugeot moped
that had pedals.
I don't even think I was 10.
No, I was, we were, our parents would be in jail today for the things that we were allowed to do.
Yeah.
So I think I would do something like that. I would go try to recreate an experience that I had with you. That was one that would probably be something I would do.
I like it. I can see it.
All right. So let's get into this thing that we're thinking about for a holiday tradition for Christmas. And what is it for you? What was it?
Well, we were discussing one thing is gift giving can become so superficial in some ways. and stressful.
Yeah.
And we were talking last week about the stress of the holidays.
Financial burdens,
and
expectations.
Yeah. And one of the big stressors of the holidays is financial.
Yeah.
It's like a 30-something% of people are worried. If you're worried about the holidays, what is it? And it's financial stressors or gift giving. And, like, did I give the right one? Is this what you wanted? Da, 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 da. Right. Yeah. And we talked about possibly, instead of giving a gift that you bought, was to actually sit down and write a letter. And so some of the ways we talked about that was like, drawing names in a family, and then being like, all right, it's a secret Santa type of thing. You don't know who's giving you your letter.
Yeah, we're thinking at Thanksgiving, we draw names, and that's when we decide for Christmas who you drew.
Exactly. And then you but this being on probably the 13th of December, that's already passed.
Yeah.
But so maybe, you could just choose someone, or you give these gifts to everyone instead, is to sit down and write a heartfelt letter to them.
Yeah.
And I know that probably some people are like, I don't write letters.
Yeah.
Or two, now there's pressure to like, what am I going to say in it? So we're going to give you some tips and tricks.
Yeah.
And
that discomfort's an opportunity to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's like something, some of the points about it is really the value of a personal letter.
Yeah.
One, we don't get letters anymore.
Nope.
Like, you don't go to the mailbox and get a letter from someone. It's rare.
Yeah.
Right. And how much we enjoyed that, even as, before email, right?
Yep.
Or before a text, which can feel really impersonal.
In a written letter, or does it matter if it's like typed or
written? I think written is better.
Yeah, I think so too. Because like something I've learned from like journaling is that we look back. Now looking back, I can look back and see the emotion in the handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's clear and concise, and then you push down harder, and it gets longer and scribbly, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
all those things.
There's something so personal about writing a letter by hand.
Yeah, and we can have fun with it.
Yeah,
right. Too.
Exactly.
Different stationery.
Oh my gosh, there's just so many things. But there's an emotional impact that's just unlike any material gift that you can get.
And so, what do you think is missing from like texts and stuff like that you can get in a personal letter like that? Like, what's the difference in the letter? Like, we're gonna have to have some kind of prompting.
Well, yeah, we'll go into some prompting, because I know we don't just like, okay, we'll go write it. We're going to give you some ideas.
Yep.
But I think that there's just such a possibility for deepening of a relationship, or, again, the emotional impact that a letter has. I know that, in my life, like, there's been times that my kids have written me letters.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I put in frames, that I keep on my desk, that, that at that moment, it's like, if it's the thought that counts, there's so much more thought that goes into a personal letter.
Yeah. And let's be clear, because I know we talked last week about like all the unspoken things. Like, this isn't the time to do that with this letter. This is more of like a positive, affirmations or ways in which we appreciate them, because those are the things that, I would think of like little things that they do that they think we don't recognize they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Simple things where you think that they don't feel seen, or maybe something that you would want to hear, kind of thing, like.
Yeah. There's something that you notice about them, but I think that there's like, even in the history of letter writing, like, you think about what is the history, like, you go back and people used to sit down with like a quill dipped in ink and write this out, and they become like this cherished keepsake. Like, if you had something like that your grandmother wrote to your grandfather, like, what would that mean to you?
I still have letters that me and Ellen wrote to get to each other from high school in a box.
Oh, Armando and I saying that's one of the things that brought us back together.
Yeah,
was our box of letters. It was like, sit down and read it.
Yep.
And remember what it felt like the first time you got it.
Yeah.
And, the fact that you kept it, and then going back and feeling the emotion of what it was like to write it or read it.
Having the tangible item. And
And I think you imprint your energy onto it.
Yeah.
I mean, that might sound a little woo, but there is a certain amount of attention and focus that needed to happen in order for this letter to be written.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a way of staying connected. So these are the ways that we used to stay connected over long distances.
Yeah.
Was by writing a letter.
Yeah.
And something so powerful about going to the mailbox and getting a letter. But now we can take this as an opportunity to be able to give a gift of like thoughtfulness.
Yeah, an opportunity to deepen a relationship. Which, that's what we're all about here at Let That Ship Go.
Let That Ship
The
Go.
siblings trying to heal.
Deepening the relationship with yourself and with those around you. Because what else are you here for?
Yeah.
But for connection.
I mean, I think we're all scared to write the hard conversation letters. But this is not that. This is an opportunity to kind of cherish,
give a gift,
or give a gift that's free. That's just your thoughts.
Yeah, this isn't something you have to go fight the crowds for.
Yeah,
go get in line for. You really just have to make time.
Yeah,
to be able to do it. So there's ways that you can make it really special.
Yeah,
you can have your own type of stationery. You can. You talked about doing like a wax seal on it.
I imagine like old school with like a wax seal, like a red wax. And I don't know if I'd have a ring, but I'd at least have some kind of a seal type thing. I was like, maybe I'll make it a tradition, like make it a family. Like whenever I send a letter to somebody, now I'm going to do it in this way because this means more or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, I think about like some of my most cherished things that I unpack at the holidays are ornaments that our aunt made for us every year, and it has our name on it, and she had her hands on it, and like what that means. But the thing that somebody gave me as a gift 10 years ago or 5 years last year, sometimes I don't even have it anymore, or where am I going to put this, or what is that, what all that stuff that goes into that. And with this, it can be something that you can make fun.
Yeah, because you said, even with on last week's episode, like instead of getting each other gifts, like you just kind of get yourselves out there, and that was that kind of the
it's
gift.
Memories.
Yeah, it's the memories. Yeah,
giving yourself time together and making memories is a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah.
But you can accomplish something really similar with writing a thoughtful letter because it's also a memory.
Yeah, because sometimes, like I've seen traditions where the white elephant gifts is like a joke gift, like a practical, and somebody always kind of gets the brunt of things. You know what I mean? And while it is kind of fun, but that's one of the things I was most thinking about is like starting a new tradition for the family, like, or having some way to connect. And that's why when we were talking about this, we're like, oh, this sounds like something amazing. Like I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to get you in it because I think it would be too easy. But yeah, I think it's something that all families can kind of grasp on. But I think it would be hard for some people because they feel like they don't write well, or
and that's not even the thing. That's not even the thing. So if you think you don't write well, or you think you maybe have writer's block, we're going to talk about some of that, and how to overcome maybe any resistance. To writing a letter, like the stories you tell yourself about, I'm not a good writer.
Yeah, it's a way for you to heal or grow as a person and gain some confidence. And I think one of the ways to kind of break the writer's block is just to make it a fun thing. Like for me, it's easier for me because I like to write things, especially like that.
Yeah.
But for others, it may be harder. But I think making it a fun thing or personalizing it, maybe different stationery, different envelopes that you might buy. Like I'm thinking about all kinds of things because we just started talking about this, and it was like, I think I would buy go and buy like 50 sets of the same envelope with the same type of
and this would
paper.
be like, oh, this is one.
Oh, this is
Uncle
he sent me one of
Noel.
these. And that would be, oh, Noel sent me a letter. Like that would be something like, oh, that would be something that I could do.
It's like a legacy.
Yeah.
It's like leaving a legacy of thought.
Of what I thought of you, or a memory or something, and just send it out.
Yeah. I think that, this being last minute, and if this is the first time you're hearing about it, it can be something that you're like, you start and you just try it out. It's also, kind of teaching, like, it's not about the material thing.
Yeah.
It really is sometimes just about the thoughtfulness. And even when you're buying a gift, if you're really trying to be thoughtful, what you're trying to show is how much you thought of them.
Yeah.
Right. Or how you noticed that they were into this or that. Like, oh, you love, coffee mugs. I'm going to go find you the coolest coffee mug. And if I love coffee mugs and you remembered that, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right. But with this, it's just really recognizing something in the other person, So like, what are some of the things that getting started? Like, what are some ways you could start a letter? So it could be just reflecting on the relationship with that person, or like recalling a memory, a fond memory.
Me and you, I would probably write about like us on that.
The Peugeot.
Moped. Peugeot moped, something like that.
Yeah, and like really expressing your feelings sincerely.
Yeah.
And just letting it be reflective of your personality, but really providing an opportunity for that person who's receiving it to know that they've been seen.
Yeah.
So especially if you're like, hey, I remember that one time when you did this thing and it really stood out to me. And I just noticed, how that lit you up or how, whatever.
Whatever it is.
Fill in the blank. Like just notice one simple thing about them that you think is special.
Yeah.
If you have someone in your life that you're buying a gift for, there's got to be a thought that you have about them that you could instead express, and just write it down and just elaborate on it to some degree. It doesn't have to be like like when you write a birthday card, like happy birthday, like too good to be forgotten, and like no. Just something personally about them that you remember.
And it becomes a practice of communicating with each other.
Yeah.
Expressing.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking about those fond memories, and then that could build a bridge to something else. Is what the hope is anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. And just think about the times you've ever received a letter, and somebody recognized something in you, a quality, that you valued.
Yeah.
And how that felt to you.
Yeah.
So being able to express that back to someone else is just an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but at least for myself, I've gotten notes or letters, and it's nothing about the length of the letter. I've gotten really short letters that I've kept, and they mean a lot because of who they came from and just kind of the time.
Yeah.
So, I think we can get caught up in like, oh, it has to be, 100 to 300 words and all those things. Like, no, that's kind of not the idea.
Yeah, it literally could be 10 words.
Yeah.
It's just being able to say something like heartfelt, like a fond memory, something that happened that you remember spending time with them, or something you saw in them, or gratitude, for some action that they took, or appreciation of their qualities, something that you know about them. And just expressing the appreciation of witnessing that.
Yeah. Or something maybe you hope for their future, or like something you guys want to do together. Or,
yeah.
Yeah.
Shared memory, like you said, like about, riding on the moped when we were kids, things like that.
Yeah. Or something together. Like you hope one day you could do something together. I have a dream that we go on a trip, just me and you kind of a thing.
Yeah. Or something about like expressing a hope for their future.
Yeah.
A possibility you see in them or something.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of different ways. Those are just a few prompts.
Yeah.
Gratitude, fond memory, recognition of qualities that they have, or acts that they've done that you've witnessed, are some things that would be really nice to hear. It's a way for people to feel seen.
What if you got somebody in the family that you weren't particularly vibing with?
I think that if you're in family, like there's always something that you could point out about them. So whether or not you're vibing with them, there's probably a time that you've noticed that they were vibing with someone else, right? Or they did something that really lit them up, or they talk about something that makes them happy. And you could even say that you've noticed that, and how that made you feel to see it.
But what I feel is like there's probably in every family like a couple of individuals that don't really communicate on a good level, and may not even be for any reasons that are actually real. They're just perceived thoughts. And so this is an opportunity, if they were able to write a letter to each other and out of a gratitude, they were like, oh, I didn't know they thought that about me, or and it might open up something. Yeah.
It's a bridge.
It's a bridge. So, while I said that as the question initially, it was like, yeah, that's going to create a lot of discomfort. Like, of course.
I had Uncle so-and-so.
Yeah. I got
or
this.
Auntie.
I got the weird Uncle Noel. You know what I mean? Like, whatever that may be, there's always going to be somebody you're like,
Yeah.
And that's your opportunity, though.
Yeah.
That's that bridge. Because the more, we think about, and like we talked about on last week's episode, the more there's unsaid things and misperceptions, miscommunications, just misunderstandings. Most of the time is not even what you think it is.
No.
And also they're going through their own things. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I really see it as an opportunity, as like bridges with people, because, we have a lot of siblings, and I can't remember the last time I wrote a letter to any of them.
Yeah. And what would it mean to them to receive one?
I mean, I do write little texts and stuff like that.
Yeah, you do. You write the best texts. I think that your goal every birthday is to make the person cry when they receive it. And it works every time.
Yeah.
But, I think I think it's those are some of the most treasured things I have are texts from you. But to get it in a letter, oh, that's next level.
Yeah, because you could lose your phone or you could, you know what I mean? Those kind of things are just, while it is still special and important to send those texts also, I don't know. I just, for some reason, that tangible letter, it's something that we've got away from in today's generation, you know, because things are so, you know, right now. And this is something that takes longer to, you know, do. And it's definitely more effort.
Yeah.
But
I think it is. Okay, so let's talk about writer's block.
Okay.
So some people are going to be like, I'm going to sit down. Please don't wait till you're on your way to the party.
You know this is going to happen.
Well, it's the 13th, so you have some time.
Listen, if you've got nothing, just write whatever you think and type it into Chat GPT, and I guess and ask them, can you write a letter to my fucking brother?
Can you make this sound better?
Yeah, and I want you to phrase it in a way that sounds like it's coming from somebody who walks
Please do
deep
not
in
use
the woo.
do not use Chat GPT in the style of Jay Shetty. Can you please write this letter?
What you would say?
No.
I mean, no, it can't.
I do not suggest.
No, this has got to be that heartfelt point.
Yeah, because you can feel it.
Yeah,
you know. So if you've got a little writer's block, what do you think people should do?
I mean, one of the things we talked about earlier is just finding some excitement in the beginning. And I thought the first thing that thought was just stationary for me was making me exciting. I don't know why.
Yeah, find ways to get excited about it.
Yeah, find ways like that. Or because if you're specializing it in some way, I think it kind of makes it like, oh, this is a fun project. But if you're, of course, for me, it sounds easy. And it was one of the reasons why I didn't want to push it too much. And I was so happy that you kind of were like, yeah, what if we write letters? And I was like, oh, but I happen to like writing. So that would be unfair because I don't know if everybody else would be like, oh, great. Noel's going to write this and I have to be compared, but it's not about that. It's not about the comparing. It's about
it's the letter itself.
Because I could have never wrote whatever their experience was with that person. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it needs to sound like you.
Yeah.
So I think a couple of the things are you could sit down and just start with a draft.
Yeah.
Right. Like simple draft, not really trying to audit it, just write it out like freestyle, and then to go back and start writing from the heart.
Yeah.
I mean, if I wanted to write something from the heart, like how would I do that? I would probably do a little bit of breathing or meditation.
Of course.
Okay. That's the way to clear my channel.
Yep.
And really connect with the heart, meaning as simple as, breathing, eyes closed, and just feeling my heart beat.
Yeah.
Right. Just like, okay, what's here?
Yeah.
What's most present here? Get out of the noise.
Yeah.
Have some time to yourself. I think go into a place where you're alone.
Yeah.
So you're not distracted. Is really kind of give it its due time. How much time would you take to go to Target and park
that's the thing.
and go
because we'll make an excuse like I don't have time to sit and write a fucking letter. But listen, how much time just to go to a store or sit in the store or even just shop and look for the stuff
and then wrap it
and then send it and all that. That is way more time.
Yeah.
So
make time.
And this doesn't cost money.
No, it doesn't. You don't have to even get fancy stationery.
No.
You literally could write it on the back of a paper bag.
Yeah.
And that'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah, because then I would say I don't know. Danny gave it to me on some construction paper that he, I would be like, oh, that's Danny for sure. You know what I mean? Like I'd be like, oh,
make it whatever's personal for you. Like put your personal touch.
Yeah.
But if you want to have fun with it, go get some cool stationery. Get on Amazon. Get a wax seal.
Yeah.
Make it a thing that you're excited about.
What if you have writer's block about the hard person that you don't really have as much in common with? Like that's the part where
I think
there's always going to be somebody.
Well, I think that's where you get quiet and you think about what could you appreciate about them. What do they appreciate about themselves?
Oh, yeah.
That you've noticed.
Yep.
What are the things
what are their interests and
what are their interests? And that even that know what their interests are is something. That's a way to make people feel seen. And that's one of the best gifts you can ever give anyone is to make them feel seen and heard.
Yeah, you could talk about just what an exciting topic is something that we've talked about recently is just I notice what lights you up most.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I seen you do this and I recognize this.
You talked about.
This sensation or whatever. Like you could say, wow. I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah. How dedicated you are to your family or your career or whatever it is. Like, what is it for them?
Yeah.
And what did you notice? And how can you reflect that back in a thoughtful way? Or what are the things that you appreciate that you don't really say?
Yeah.
Like this is a time to be able to do that and just put it down on
There's
paper.
a lot of things we take for granted on a day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
So
yeah, not trying to make it perfect, is kind of a big thing because that, needing something to be perfect is the quickest way to stop you from doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, taking all expectations off of it. I mean, part of the deep connection is like these things can be so, personal and like you said, you frame certain things from your kids and mom has said the same thing about us, like there's certain things that she keeps, that we've written to her. And so having my experience in the past, and that wasn't even around like a Christmas, like a gift. It's every time I've ever given somebody a letter in that way or written something in that form, the response I get from is, I mean, that's the best paycheck in the world.
You get a gift back.
Yeah.
So you give a gift, you're getting a gift back by just seeing.
They feel like they know I've seen them. They know I'm kind of paying attention.
I'm noticing.
And I'm just letting them know. And I usually do it without any prompt. And sometimes it's a birthday. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes you're just on my heart and I'll just write you something.
I love that.
So those things are just take those times to do it,
Yeah. The other thing is like, okay, this is the 13th of December or the week before Christmas. And so, you're kind of just like a new idea maybe to you. And so you're coming up with something. But what if you did make this a tradition?
Yeah.
And so going into next year, I'm going to have another opportunity to write a letter. So what if you started to consciously notice the things that you could appreciate? I mean, what a shift in the way that you do relationships.
Yeah.
Because in your mind, you're like, actually, I'm shopping early.
Yeah.
And my shopping early is noticing.
It's just another tool or a way to, I think it's like a coping mechanism almost, It's something that we can, an unintended consequence that has an amazing result.
Yeah. Because now.
Well, I don't want to be the one that doesn't know anything about anybody, so I'm going to start paying attention.
I better pay attention.
Yeah.
So you have this incentive
to check
pay
in
attention.
with people.
Yeah, check in with people and to kind of get excited when you notice something really cool that you want to bring up later.
I'm curious what listeners would think about, because we're thinking about all kinds of things as we're speaking, but I'm sure all of you are thinking about other ways that you guys can connect deeper and the unintended consequences that could be, for so much more positive, like Lena's saying.
Yeah. I think just moving it into next year. You can do this. Think about it's not just Christmas. What about a birthday?
Yeah, you may not be listening to this on Christmas. You may be listening to this, on another time because you're not listening. It's on this timeline.
No.
Yeah, you could do it I do it for birthdays all the time.
I know. Yeah.
And you probably like those gifts better than you would like anything I've ever bought you, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I would like it now with the wax seal. I think that would be really cool.
Okay. So now I just set a precedent for myself. But you know what? I like that precedent because for me, it kind of, I don't know, it gives nostalgia and integrity to it and maybe signifies like I'm really putting a lot of thought into it. But at the same time, some parts of me goes, yeah, but I don't want everybody else to feel that same way because then it becomes competitive.
Yeah, we don't want that.
I don't want that because that's the continuing theme of dysfunction is the competitive nature in our family.
Yeah,
sarcasm and all that stuff and putting each other down and all those things. So getting to know each other and bring each other to the same.
Yeah, maybe the thing is if it's not competing, if you just make it personal from you.
Yeah.
And when you're creating it, it's to reflect, who you are in giving it, and something about your own personality. So putting it on construction paper or somebody's going to make their own paper. I already know, they're going to press flowers into, rice paper or something. But I mean, just finding something that is uniquely from you.
Yeah.
And giving that, very thoughtful gift. The other huge thing is environmentally, this is a much better way to treat the environment.
More sustainable, yeah.
It's more sustainable than, buying a bunch of stuff that's probably going to be
thrown away,
taking up space.
In a landfill.
It'll be at a garage sale somewhere.
Yeah.
Or something. But like something like this, it takes up no space. It doesn't take up a lot of resources other than what you have internally to give.
Yeah.
So I think that's another aspect is like, if you're trying to be more environmentally friendly and conscious, like writing a letter that is from the heart that you can make special, I think is an excellent gift idea. And one that like I want to do, like 1,000%.
Yeah.
Get away from the commercialism of Christmas, quit buying into that whole narrative.
Yep.
And give something thoughtful because, for many of us, the holidays are a time to be able to be together and to appreciate family or, friends and all of that. And so what better way to really kind of tap into something a lot more deep?
Yeah. I can't think of a more like personal, heartfelt gift to give.
Yeah.
Because
or receive.
I mean, it does take time, and I can admit that. And giving somebody your time is probably the most precious thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, in order to write a letter like this, trust, it takes focused and sitting with yourself. And maybe it's not going to be easy, but it will at least, give the other people in your life an opportunity to know what you feel about them. And maybe there's some things that there's tons of stuff between you and I that I didn't know you recognized and vice versa. So I think even if we got the letters with each other, I bet there would be stuff that would be
new
fun.
stuff.
Yeah. I joke and say, I don't want to get you,
but I'm like, I hope Noel gets me this because he writes such great letters and he's going to have a wax seal. So, I'm already imagining all the fun ways that for me, like I want to create, like a letter box that is my letter box,
Yeah.
And what will be in Lena's letter giving box and be uniquely from me to my kids or to my friends or family.
Yeah.
That carries on as a tradition, and it is more aligned with the way that I feel about the holidays, because I don't like all the commercialism. I don't like feeling like I'm contributing to that.
Yeah.
And so this feels like a way that I can be thoughtful, I can give a gift, but it can be more aligned with what I feel is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
So,
I think it works out awesome.
I'm excited. Yeah. And being able to use this into the coming year.
Yeah.
And then mindfully having to notice the things you appreciate. Okay.
I know we're going to talk about this out because we're going to definitely do this. So we'll follow up with another episode talking about how it went. But we really encourage you, with your families to, try something like this year.
Try something new. It's better for the environment.
Yeah. Now's the time,
Yeah.
Be more compassionate.
Yeah.
Other people are going through things and remove the competitiveness from it.
Yeah.
And give the opportunity to grow some, write better. I mean, there's so many things that me just writing letters to people helps me to break down my thoughts. And sometimes I'll get phrases. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to use that in something that I write. You know?
And it's an opportunity to deepen a relationship.
Yeah.
It really is. Because this one letter could open up a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Where they feel maybe even safer to communicate or I don't know. There's just so many possibilities. I don't see a downside.
No, I've written plenty of letters, like you said, and I recently wrote a letter to one of our siblings, and that just opened the door to all kinds. Emily just, I never even knew that she wanted to have a conversation with me, and then now the floodgates are open. So it's, and that started with a letter.
Yeah.
So she didn't know.
I encourage you to, just try it. Just try it. Try a new tradition. Try something that is all around, probably in the step of a better, moving towards deepening your relationships with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Merry Shiftmas.
All right. That's been another episode of Let That Shift Go podcast. I'm Noel.
And I'm Lena. Let us know what your questions are, and we'd love to use them on a future episode. Or check us out on Insta at Let That Shift Go, or visit our website, serenitycovetemecula.com.